Hi there, I'm Jay, and in today's video I want to show you Logto. Recently for my side project I wanted to switch away from Clerk because I was not a big fan of their pricing, and so I researched a little bit and came across this interesting project here called Logto. This is also like open source, as you can see here, and we have basically all the things, or I have all the things that I need here. And the free tier is up to 50,000 monthly active user. We have normal authentication, role-based access control, audit logs, and so on. That's quite good. And then for the pro, it is only 16 bucks per month, where you have then unlimited users. You can even create organizations or multi-tenancy, multi-factor. So this is a really fair price in my opinion. But the switching away from Clerk came with some pitfalls in the implementation. And I want to show you these pitfalls so that you can save your time and stress, of course. Let's get right into it. So if we log in to Logto, this is the initial screen that we see. And what we need to do now is to create here a new app on Next.js. So I'm clicking here, start building. And now we need to give an application name. Let's blog about my stuff. So now we are getting redirected to the integration guide, and this is quite nice organized in my opinion. So I will use here now the pnpm package manager to install Logto. So we head over to our Next.js project and then I'm installing it. Okay, so what's the next thing that we need to do? We need to create a Logto config, and we'll place it here inside of app logto.ts, and this contains the endpoint, our app ID, app secret, base URL, cookie secret. So now here's a little explanation about the sign in and finish sign in invocation. Here we need to define the redirect URL. So after, because we are providing a sign in button, then the user getting redirected to the Logto sign in screen. That is on a different URL, and here we need to specify after the login was successful, where do we want to redirect the user. So we will keep it here simple by just using the default value, so localhost 3000 callback, and for the sign out the same, or not the same, just the home route, and here is the code for our callback route. So what is happening, as you can see, this is a route then. So we are getting this request, we get some search parameters back, we call the handle sign in from Logto, and finally we redirect our user to the home screen again. So basically here you can provide then any other route that you want. So now we go here, we create a new file that was under the callback route.ts, and just let print out the search parameters. Now we are creating two client components, the sign in functionality and the sign out. Just a button where we then provide a functionality that we can pass in. The same here for the sign out. And both of these are client components. So I will create a new folder for this. Here we are using the sign in button, and now we do the same for the sign out. Now we can use here the page TSX boilerplate code. We see that from the Logto package we get the sign in and sign out server action that we then finally provide to our client components, and we also get the get Logto context. So after the sign in, from there we get the information if the user is authenticated, and the claims we will have a look later on, but basically from there you get the profile and the email and the user ID. So now let's modify our page. Where is our page? Oh, okay, interesting. This needs to be of course async, and here we need then to import our client components, and now we are good to go to test it out. So after we followed all the steps and we tried to sign in, we get the message here, no email connector is set up and it's because not written down in the documentation or in the sign up guide. So you go here to connectors, email connector, and then set up, and then we use the out of the box email solution, and here we can set up the sender name. So I'm writing here jblog. We can even test the email if you would like to, but that's fine. I'm here on localhost port 3000. There we have our beautiful sign in button. Let's click on it. I'm here in incognito mode, otherwise we would not getting redirected, and here we're getting now redirected to the Logto login page. So let's create an account. I will choose throw away email for the testing purpose, so let me quickly create one. All right, so, and then we get in one-time password or code that we need to provide in order to verify our email, and then after that we can set our password. So yep, and here is our email. So we've used this service called TempMail, and here we got our code. Let's create a password, super safe password, 123. And then we're getting redirected back to our localhost and see our user ID followed by the sign out button. One thing that I liked about Clerk was the way how they handled when I needed the user or the email. That was all available from their auth package. Decided to do the same and created a little abstraction, so we have this auth function. And then there I provide or returning the user ID, user email is authenticated, and we get this information here from get Logto context as usual, and then we are specifying here fetch user info true, and then we should also get the profile data. So we get then here the data, and from there I'm extracting is authenticated the claims. So basically the claims are what we have the permission set, basically if we are allowed to read a user's email, user's profile. By default the OpenID profile and email is set, and then of course the user info, and then I'm returning it. And how to consume it, I've also created now here a Afbar component in their user avatar, where we basically show first the login button if the user is not authenticated. Otherwise we show a drop down where the user is then able to see his email and a logout button. And here make use of our abstraction. So from here we get the user ID and the user email. So let's import this here. And now we're getting here a little issue because this could also be undefined. Nav component into our page, so we don't need to have this here anymore. And then nav, and you see we are getting rid of now of the specific Logto implementation, providing our own abstraction layer. So in the future, if we would change, then we could only modifying this part here where we call then our specific authentication library, and we don't need to touch then all files, only this one here in the future. We have integrated our navbar. Let's see how this looks like. You see that we see nothing. Yeah, of course. This was the issue. Now we can see here this example here. And if I click here now on login, I know what's the deal. Inside our Logto config, we need to specify that we need access to the user's email. So we need to go here into the Logto config. So scopes, and then we can use this type here from Logto user scope, and we want the email and the profile, and there are other scopes as well. Custom data roles, cool, but we only need these two for now. So just that you're aware of that this exists, and now of course we need to re-authenticate in order to get this. So now that we have set up the scopes, you see that we now finally get the email and the user ID, and our user avatar component is working as expected. So if we click here, we see our 10-minute email and a logout button. That's it for Logto. Overall, I have to say the pricing is very fair for that what you get. The implementation was quite good, and I like how they also provide you with this nice admin panel where you can also set up the email, connect to other email providers. There you have the sign-in experience where you also can modify the schema, the color schema, upload your logo. Overall, I think it's a great alternative to Clerk, but somehow they are still not that known and famous, so just give it a try, and I will now stick for it with Logto. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.